10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Speech synthesis ready. Speech synthesis ready. E4. D6. Bishop C4. E5. Bishop takes F7 check. King takes F7. Queen H5 check. G6. Queen F3 check. Queen F6. Queen B3 check. Bishop E6. Queen takes B7. Bishop E7. Queen takes A8. King G7. Queen takes A7. Bishop F8. Knight F3. Knight E7. Queen takes B8. Rook G8. Queen B4. King H6. Short castle. D4. G6. E3. Bishop G7. F4. F6. Knight F3. E6. Bishop D3. D5. Short castle. C6. H3. B6. C4. Bishop B7. C takes D5. Knight D7. D takes E6. Knight F8. D5. Queen E7. D takes C6. Bishop takes C6. Queen C2. Bishop B7. Knight C3. Knight takes E6. Bishop D2. E4. D6. Knight F3. E5. Bishop E2. Knight F6. D3. Bishop e7. Queen d2. Short castle. Short castle. Bishop e6. c3. Knight c6. b3. Queen d7. Bishop b2. d5. d4. e5. e3. E takes d4. E takes d4. d5. Knight f3. Knight c6. Bishop e2. Knight f6. Short castle. Bishop d6. c4. Short castle. C takes d5. Knight takes d5. Knight c3. Knight takes c3. B takes c3. Bishop g4. Bishop e3. e3. d6. d4. e5. Knight c3. E takes d4. Bishop c4. D takes e3. Queen f3. E takes f2 check. Queen takes f2. Queen e7 check. King f1. Knight f6. Bishop g5. Bishop e6. Bishop takes f6. G takes f6. Knight f3. Bishop takes c4 check. King g1. Bishop e6. Rook e1. Knight c6. Rook takes e6. d4. Knight f6. e3. g6. f4. Bishop g7. Knight f3. d6. Bishop d3. Short castle. Short castle. Rook e8. h3. e6. Knight c3. c5. D takes c5. D takes c5. Bishop d2. Knight c6. Queen e2. Knight d5. Rook a d1. Bishop takes c3. Bishop takes c3. Knight takes c3. B takes c3. d4. d5. e3. c5. f4. C takes d4. Knight f3. e5. E takes d4. E takes d4. Queen takes d4. Bishop b4 check. c3. Knight c6. C takes b4. Knight takes d4. Knight takes d4. Queen f6. d4. c5. e3. C takes d4. E takes d4. d5. Knight f3. e6. Bishop e2. Knight f6. Short castle. Bishop e7. h3. Short castle. c4. Knight bd7. C takes d5. Knight takes d5. Knight c3. Knight 5 f6. Bishop e3. b6. d4. d6. c3. e5. Bishop f4. E takes d4. Bishop g3. D takes c3. Knight takes c3. Knight f6. Knight f3. Bishop e7. Rook c1. Short castle. e3. Bishop e6. Bishop e2. Knight c6. Short castle. d5. Rook e1. Bishop d6. Knight d4. Knight takes d4. E takes d4. Bishop takes g3. d4. e6. e3. d6. f4. Bishop e7. Knight f3. Knight f6. Bishop d3. Short castle. Short castle. h6. h3. Knight e4. d5. E takes d5. Knight c3. Bishop f6. Knight takes e4. D takes e4. Bishop takes e4. c6. Bishop d3. e4, d6, d4, e5, f3, e takes d4, c3, knight f6, c takes d4, bishop e7, knight c3, d5, bishop g5, d takes e4, bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, f takes e4, queen takes d4, bishop d3, knight c6, knight f3, queen d7, e5, short castle, e takes f6, g6, d4, b6, e3, a6, f4, bishop b7, knight f3, bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, rook a7, queen e2, c6, queen d3, d6, bishop e2, c5, c4, c takes d4, e takes d4, e6, short castle, bishop e7, rook e1, knight f6, d5, short castle, d takes e6, f takes e6, e4, d6, bishop c4, e5, queen f3, knight f6, knight h3, queen e7, knight g5, bishop e6, queen c3, bishop takes c4, queen takes c4, h6, queen takes f7 check, queen takes f7, knight takes f7, king takes f7, short castle, bishop e7, g3, d4, e5, e3, e takes d4, e takes d4, g6, knight f3, bishop g7, bishop e2, knight e7, short castle, h3, knight bc6, c3, knight takes d4, bishop e3, knight takes e2 check, queen takes e2, c6, rook d1, d5, knight bd2, knight f5, knight b3, knight takes e3, f takes e3, rook e8, e4, e4, d6, bishop c4, e5, queen f3, queen e7, queen takes f7 check, queen takes f7, bishop takes f7 check, king takes f7, knight c3, knight f6, d4, e takes d4, knight f3, d takes c3, knight g5 check, king g8, b takes c3, h6, bishop a3, h takes g5, e5, d takes e5, f4, bishop takes a3, f takes e5, knight d5, rook d1, knight takes c3, rook d3, knight d1, rook c3, bishop b4, king takes d1, bishop takes c3, d4, d6, e3, e6, f4, d5, knight f3, bishop e7, bishop d3, knight f6, short castle, h3, rook e8, c4, h6, c takes d5, e takes d5, e4, c5, e takes d5, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight takes d5, knight f3, knight f6, queen c2, queen d7, e4, d6, bishop c4, e5, queen f3, knight f6, knight h3, queen e7, knight g5, bishop e6, queen c3, bishop takes c4, queen takes c4, h6, queen takes f7 check, Queen takes f7. Knight takes f7. King takes f7. Short castle. d4. Knight c6. e3. d5. f4. e6. Knight f3. Knight f6. Bishop d3. Bishop b4 check. c3. Bishop takes c3 check. b takes c3. Knight e4. Short castle. Knight takes c3. Knight takes c3. e5. d takes e5. Short castle. e4. Knight takes e5. e takes d5. f6. Knight takes e5. f takes e5. f takes e5. Rook e8. e6. Rook f8. Rook takes f8 check. King takes f8. e7 check. c3. d6. e4. e5. Knight f3. Knight f6. Bishop c4. Bishop e7. Bishop takes f7 check. King takes f7. Knight g5 check. King g8. Queen b3 check. d5. e takes d5. Bishop d6. d4. h6. Knight f3. e4. Knight h4. e3. Bishop takes e3. Knight e4. Knight g6. King h7. f3. d4. e5. e3. e takes d4. e takes d4. Bishop c5. Knight f3. Queen f6. d takes c5. Knight h6. Bishop e2. Knight g4. h3. Queen e6. H takes g4. Queen takes e2 check. King takes e2. Short castle. King f1. Rook e8. Knight c3. Rook e1 check. Queen takes e1. d6. Queen d2. Bishop takes g4. e3. d6. Bishop c4. e5. Queen h5. Queen e7. Queen f3. Knight f6. Knight h3. Bishop e6. Knight g5. Bishop takes c4. Knight takes f7. Queen takes f7. d3. Bishop e6. Knight c3. Knight c6. d4. e4. Knight takes e4. Knight takes e4. Queen takes e4. d4. e5. e3. Queen f6. d takes e5. Queen takes e5. f4. Queen f6. Knight f3. Queen d6. Bishop d3. c5. Short castle. Queen e7. Rook e1. c4. Bishop takes c4. Queen d8. Bishop b3. Bishop e7. Queen d5. Knight f6. Queen takes f7 checkmate. Checkmate, white is victorious. d4. d6. e3. e6. f4. f5. Knight f3. Bishop e7. Bishop d3. Knight f6. Short castle. d5. h3. c6. e4. h6. e takes d5. Knight takes d5. Knight c3. Short castle. Knight takes d5. e takes d5. c4. Knight d7. c takes d5. c takes d5. Bishop d2. Knight f6. Bishop c3. King h8. Knight f3. d6. e4. e5. d3. Knight f6. Knight c3. Bishop e7. Bishop g5. Short castle. Bishop takes f6. Bishop takes f6. Knight d5. Bishop e6. Knight takes f6 check. Queen takes f6. g3. Queen e7. Bishop g2. f5. Short castle. F takes e4. D takes e4. Knight c6. Knight d2. Rook a d8. Knight f3. d5. Queen e2. D takes e4. d4. d6. c4. e5. Knight f3. E takes d4. Knight takes d4. Knight f6. Knight b3. Bishop e7. e3. Short castle. Bishop d3. Bishop e6. Knight c3. d5. Queen c2. D takes c4. Bishop takes c4. Bishop takes c4. Bishop d2. Bishop takes b3. Queen takes b3. Knight c6. Short castle. Queen c8. Queen c2. Rook b8. Knight e4. a6. Knight takes f6 check. Bishop takes f6. Bishop c3. g6. Rook fd1. Bishop g7. d4. e5. e3. E takes d4. E takes d4. d5. Knight f3. Knight c6. Bishop e2. Bishop d6. Short castle. Knight f6. h3. Short castle. c4. Knight e4. C takes d5. f5. D takes c6. B takes c6. d5. Bishop e6. D takes c6. Queen e7. Knight c3. Rook a c8. Knight takes e4. F takes e4. Knight d4. Bishop d5. d4. d6. e3. Knight d7. f4. Knight gf6. Knight f3. c5. Bishop d3. g6. Short castle. Bishop g7. D takes c5. Knight takes c5. Knight c3. Knight takes d3. C takes d3. Short castle. Queen c2. Bishop f5. Bishop d2. Bishop d7. e4. Rook c8. e5. Knight d5. E takes d6. Knight takes c3. B takes c3. E takes d6. d4. Bishop f5. Queen d1. e3. d6. d4. e5. D takes e5. D takes e5. Queen takes d8 check. King takes d8. Knight f3. King e7. Knight takes e5. f6. Knight f3. Knight c6. Bishop d3. Bishop e6. Bishop d2. King f7. Bishop c3. Bishop d6. Knight b d2. Knight g e7. Knight e4. Rook h e8. Knight takes d6 check. C takes d6. Short castle. Rook a d8. Knight d4. Knight takes d4. Knight f3. d6. g3. e5. Bishop g2. Knight f6. Short castle. e4. e3. E takes f3. Bishop takes f3. Bishop e7. Bishop g2. Short castle. Queen e1. Knight c6. d3. Bishop d7. c3. d5. b3. d4. a3. D takes e3. Bishop b2. E takes f2 check. d4. d5. e3. Knight f6. f4. e6. Knight f3. Bishop e7. Bishop d3. Short castle. Short castle. c5. h3. C takes d4. E takes d4. Knight c6. c4. Bishop d7. C takes d5. Knight takes d5. Knight c3. g6. Knight takes d5. E takes d5. Bishop d2. Bishop e6. Bishop c3. Bishop d6. Queen c2. d4. d6. e3. e5. c4. E takes d4. E takes d4. Knight f6. Queen e2 check. Bishop e7. Knight f3. Short castle. Bishop e3. Rook e8. Queen d1. Bishop f8. Bishop e2. d5. Knight c3. D takes c4. Bishop takes c4. Knight c6. Short castle. Bishop e6. d5. Bishop takes d5. e3. d6. d4. e5. f4. E takes d4. E takes d4. Knight f6. c3. Bishop e7. Knight f3. Short castle. Bishop d3. c5. Short castle. C takes d4. Queen c2. D takes c3. Knight takes c3. Knight c6. Knight e4. Bishop f5. Knight takes f6 check. Bishop takes f6. Bishop takes f5. g6. Bishop d3. Bishop g7. a3. f5.